Hello, this is going to be a pretty short one about the evil of whingers, of whiners, complainers. And I have to thank once again Anne Barnhart for the idea, because she posted quite an interesting little blog post. It's quite short, so I'm just going to read it. For those of you who don't know who Anne Barnhart is, she's a pretty staunch Catholic, although she is in error because she still thinks Ratzinger is Pope, which is wrong. Anyway, the title of her blog post is, Yep, Study. Victim signaling plus virtue signaling can mean very bad people. Folks, look at the saints. A consistent theme is the saints, while on earth, don't complain. They keep their maladies to themselves. They don't complain. Saint Bernadette Soubirous is an incredible example of this. She had bone cancer that literally ate away to dust one of her knees. The only reason anyone found out is because when her knee was almost totally gone, then and only then did she start to limp. Famously, one of her superiors, who had resented Bernadette terribly for years because she was low and stupid, and suspected her of faking her visions of the Blessed Virgin at the Lourdes Grotto, was humiliated unto sanctity by the revelation that Bernadette, instead of being an, and forgive the modern vulgarism, attention whore, was exactly the opposite. She had a malady so severe that the attending doctor declared it a miracle that she was able to conceal it. She had experienced pain that no man could endure. Yep. And that is absolutely correct. The people who whine, whinge, and complain, for example, the blue-haired manatee that is the thumbnail for this video, is actually taken from a YouTube stream of this fat feminist saying that women should be hugged, or whatever. She's complaining about the fact basically that she's fat, ugly, and nobody wants to go near her. But the interesting thing is that the actual study, which Anne links to, is quite interesting in itself. I mean, I won't read the whole thing because it is quite long, but just to give you an idea, the first sentence is a new study out of British Columbia finds that people who combine virtue signaling with victim signaling to get something they want are more likely to be Machiavellian power seekers, more likely to be narcissists, and somewhat possibly more likely to be psychopaths than people who don't do that kind of signaling. It's not news to anyone that knows anything or that has been around for the last 10 years. So it's quite, I hope that you're starting to understand a little bit why I don't bother to give gammas any kind of a warning. One comment is often enough just to get them outright banned. But there's a reason for that, and that is that the whiners, the complainers, it's a manipulation tool that they're using, and often a lie. Every life has trouble in it. Just deal with it. So those of you that are all put off by my quite abrupt ways, that's where it's coming from. And you also need to understand, I've spent quite a bit of time on guys who have legitimate, not complaints, but they legitimately say, I don't know how to do this. You seem to know how to do it. Can you tell me what I'm doing wrong, or how to improve, or whatever? That's an honest guy who's just basically saying, I could use some help here in understanding or figuring something out. And I get those emails occasionally, and sometimes they're from pretty cool people, like the guy living in Switzerland, Nicholas Bear. I never know how to pronounce Nicator Bear or something. I never know how to pronounce his name, but anyway, he's a cool guy. He's a young guy. And the interesting thing is that people like that generally take the advice. When it's good advice, they listen to it, they take it, they try it out. There are others who have sent me fucking paragraphs and paragraphs of email asking for advice on this, that, the other, while at the same time still pretending to be like the cool guy who knows it all, which I'm like, well, If you know it all, why are you asking me? Sort yourself out. Which tends to be my response once I see what these kind of people are like. But there are others that are really, genuine, humble sort of people, and they sort of go, hey, by the way, could you tell me where to find a priest? I don't know. Which I usually just send them to that link of ecclesialuxvera.org, because that's the easiest way. And if you can't find that one right there, call the nearest one up and ask him. They might know somebody, certainly more likely to know someone than I am. But yeah, so don't be, you're not actually helping anybody when you're helping them whine and you're allowing them to like go on and on about their personal issue that's like, oh, well, I have whatever, I mean, people who genuinely suffer. I remember a lady that I met at a seminar, and she had multiple sclerosis, and she struggled. She was like in a wheelchair, and yet she did everything that was going on at the seminar, which was pretty intensive, sort of physical sort of seminar. And at one point there was one of the bits of physical work she couldn't do, and she said, no, but if like some people help me, like to hold me up, I'll give it a go. So she couldn't walk properly, but with a bit of help, she did. Some people were helping her up, one on each side, and she kind of stumbled through the process that was required, which wasn't required for her. I mean, it was all voluntary, but she went ahead and did it. And people with real, genuine issues, a couple of guys that are like sort of know just from Facebook that have some severe physical issues. They never complain about it. I mean, one guy, it was in the sort of Dreadil group that was. When they just kind of threw me into the Dreadil thing, I didn't ask for it, whatever. I just appeared there, and they were like, "All right, we've made you join." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But one of the guys there has got quite serious physical handicaps, and we had some disagreement on something, and I didn't know him. I don't know the guy, and I treated him just like I treat anybody else. Not that it would have made a difference if I'd known what his handicaps were, but the thing is, because I didn't know, I made certain assumptions, and I sort of said, well, if you actually hold this type of weapon and you shoot this way, then no, what you're saying is nonsense. And I wasn't wrong, but I didn't realize what his physical, limitations were, and there are certain things that obviously he couldn't do. Did he tell me about it? Did he complain? Did he say, oh, but you're an asshole because you don't realize I can't do that, whatever? Nah, he just took it and marched on. And when I eventually realized, I was like, oh, what a dick I've been. People that can handle all sorts of pain that you know nothing about, and they just get on with it. They just carry on. I mean, there's some people I know through work that have got, like, again, serious physical issues going on, family members dying or being really sick and whatever, as well as their own issues, and they just get on with it. I've known quite a lot of really, I want to say tough people, but I don't think they would even consider themselves tough. They're just stoic, they just get on with stuff. And it's a very good, very, very good, healthy attitude for you to have, and you should try and get that. Don't go overboard. Don't be necessarily like Saint Bernadette, who like let herself rot to pieces without telling anything to anybody. I remember reading many years ago about the guy. I think he was one of the guys who invented the puppets or created the puppets for Sesame Street. And he died of like something that was easily fixable just because he didn't want to complain. He was the kind of guy who wouldn't complain. And he got something like, I don't know, peritonitis or like an burst appendix or something. And he died from it just because, he kept quiet, didn't tell anybody anything. And by the time they realized something was badly wrong, it was too late. So don't be that guy, But whining and complaining about every little problem, just get on with it. and try and do something for somebody else. You know, if you can do something for someone else, do that. That'll take your mind off your own problems and help somebody else. The net good in the world increases. And having said all of that, remember that, you know, if you're the kind of person that is just finding it really difficult to offend people, well, you need to practice. That's how you become skilled at it, like I am. Okay, like I said, it was going to be just a quick short one. And, oh, good news. The book, finally, as I think all the edits are finished. It's just going through the one last quick once over to pick up any little stray ones. So the editing is done. The cover should be finished either this week or early next week. So hopefully by next week, probably towards the middle or end of next week, the book might well be available at on Amazon. I think the initial release is going to be the paper format only, and that's just because the e-version, you know, there's a lot of footnotes. It's not, you know, it's got 530 pages. It's got 9 appendices, I think. So, you know, and there are a lot of footnotes. So making that into an ebook is not a straightforward thing. And I will probably use there's a guy who got in touch with me about improving the ebook version of Believe, which is quite a small book. And he said he'd happily do it for free just to, like, you know, show what he can do. So I might go ahead with that. And if so, then I might let him do the bigger book or whatever and see what happens with that. But initially I think it's just going to be paper format, which for the old stylers, you know, the old style guys among you that prefer books, it's good news. Also, you know, if the apocalypse comes, you want to have the paper copy. So yeah, that's about it, and hopefully in a week or two book will be out and I'll let you all know about it. Okay, have a good night.